Hey, I'm going to try and make a video and I'll try and provide some visual interest so that I'm not just a bald head floating in space like on an old episode of Red Dwarf. I know we've been trying to cover a lot of different areas, a lot of different topics in these exchanges. I'm going to try to trim it down to one area of a special concern to me. You asked the question, are atheists trying to make a sterile society that has no religion in it? That's not what I'm trying to do. I'm not out to close all the churches or uh, oppress Christians or throw them in jail or kill them. I'm just concerned about the religious extremists who are trying to take over my country. I happen to live in the United States. Now, the United States was founded a couple of years ago by refugees from various religious wars in Europe. Catholics attacking Protestants, Protestants attacking Catholics, Huguenots, Shakers, Quakers, Baptists, Calvinists. This country filled up with people that were persecuted in their homes for their religious beliefs. And they came here sometimes as a matter of pure survival. And I think our founders, people like Jefferson and Madison and Adams, these great statesmen thought deeply about how America came to be a shelter for all these refugees. And their solution to the problem was to create a secular state. They invented the idea that religion could be a separate thing from the state. The state, the government wouldn't tell you how to pray, wouldn't tell you what you had to believe. At the same time, the religious organizations wouldn't be telling the state how to run things. It was a democracy. It was a new thing on the face of the globe. It was an amazing thing. And I think a very wise choice to make the state secular. The state is merely concerned with governing the people as best it can, while religion is allowed to do its own thing as long as it's not hurting anybody. So, unfortunately, the founders didn't live forever. When they were cold in their graves, religious extremists, I mean, not everybody, but because this happens to be a country with a lot of Christians in it, these extremists were usually Christians who are saying, well, we need to put God on our money. We need to put more references to God, in our government. And they had some success. It took them 150 years or so, but they eventually got a phrase, advertising for religion, on all our money. If you look in your wallet, look in your change jar, you'll see, if you have American money, it's stamped on it, "In God We Trust." That's not what the founders wanted. If they had wanted that, they could have done that. They chose instead for the national motto a secular one, from many one, or in Latin, e pluribus unum. But religious extremists forced it on America. Now, I know majority rules, but I think before we go headlong into turning this country into some kind of theocracy, turning this into a Christian nation, I think we ought to stop and consider, what did the founders want? Why did they want it? And why mess with a good thing? You might not be aware, but there was an official statement by the United States to the world, just stating the government of the United States is in no way founded on the Christian religion. It was presented to the Senate. It was passed unanimously. It was published in the newspapers. There was no big controversy, and it was proclaimed by the President to the world. This is the thoughts of our founders. This is how they wanted to be known and throughout the world. So why are we trying to change that? That's what I want to defend against, and that's what I want to try and get people to think a little bit about. Another thing is, you might not know that the Pledge of Allegiance didn't used to have the words "under God" in it. That was something that was added, like 50 years later, after it was written, after it was in use. We got along pretty well without it. We got along pretty well without a national motto that said, "In God we trust." We got along pretty good without this kind of stuff, and I don't understand why there's this pressing need to try and change the country from a secular government into a theocratic one, or why to change this secular nation created by our founders into some idea of a Christian one, and try and rewrite history as if, oh, that's the way it always was. Anyway, so that's probably the major point I wanted to cover, and let's just talk about that.